way. It was the democratically led Senate that voted to shut the government down when it chose to give members of Congress special treatment from Obamacare. That, according to our next guest, she says it's unfair for the president to provide delays for big business, subsidies for the politically connected, waivers for big unions, and then deny the same thing to hardworking men and women and their families. Joining us now is Congresswoman Diane Black. She serves on both the Budget Committee, the House Ways and Means Committee. She's also been a registered nurse for more than 40 years. Congresswoman, it's great to have you back with us. You've had a busy day. It continues. I know you're short on time. Give us a sense with the threat from the House. I'd just love to get your interpretation of this. The threat of a veto from the White House, does that imply that there may be a fear that the Senate might go along with you?
No, we don't know that, Lou, and until it goes over to the Senate, I'm not going to even take a guess at what the Senate would do. This is really a difficult time because we have both the Senate and also the President saying they're not willing to even talk to the members of Congress and the House. This is just ridiculous. We've got the President who's willing to negotiate with Iran and Russia and Syria, but not with the members of Congress.
This is startling because I think this is one of those unintended consequences of the behavior of both Senator Reid and President Obama. The longer this goes, the clearer it is to the American people that the House of Representatives has moved to fund the government to delay the 1 year by 1 year the individual mandates, just as the President did for big business and small. And to, at the same time, as this president has insisted, you guys have offered to make some changes. You've pushed aside the tax on the medical devices. They wouldn't hear of that, which is in itself madness. I mean, what are you going to do? How do you move forward from here?
It is very frustrating. As you have already said, the American people did not want to see the government closed down, but neither do they want Obamacare to go forward. And so we did what the American people asked us to do, and that is to fund the government through the continuing CR, but then also fight for fairness. And it's not fair that the President continues to give those of special interest a delay or a special exemption, as he did in the employer mandate, as he has done with unions. And we just say you ought to treat the American people, the individuals who don't have that influence in the President's office, the same way. It's also not fair that members of Congress would be exempted from this.
We're talking about, if I may, Congresswoman, just point out, because I failed to do so, we're talking about the subsidies that the President has provided so generously to Congress, to your staffs, and to the White House, to the administration. I mean, this is spectacular favoritism of the elites and the powerful in Washington, D.C. And they won't even think about stepping back for those subsidies. We've heard stories, by the way, from both Democrats and Republicans who want to hang on to those subsidies. What do you say to them, Congresswoman?
I say this is a fairness issue. I hear this from people all the time, that Congress doesn't live under the rules that they make. And we believe that they should. I believe they should. I ran on that, and I still believe that. And this, again, is a fairness issue where we cannot get the Senate to sit down and talk to us. This is the way our government was set up, is that you would have negotiations between the House and the Senate and the President. It is the way our constitutional form of government was set up and what it was intended to do, and it's very frustrating that we cannot even get them to come to the dance and have an opportunity to be able to talk to them about fairness issues. This whole law is not ready for prime time. We know that. We know what's been happening all day long. As a matter of fact, I have a screenshot of what people may have seen across this country.
We've been showing those error messages, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, the error messages, and it's down for the moment. We're seeing this, and I've talked about this before, even with you, on the verification, on the data services hub that is not ready. This is not ready for prime time. We continue to say this, and yet we can't even get an audience with a president who ran on the fact that he was going to bring America together. There would be no red states, there would be no blue states, they would be purple. We don't see all of these broken promises is what we're seeing today. This is unfair, and the president will not even have dialogue with us to talk to us about what's going on with this unworkable health care law.
Does your caucus remain united tonight? We've heard from several Republican congressmen who are talking about let's do a clean CR and move on with it. Or do you have the sense that you're making some considerable progress in bringing your message to the American people and gaining their support?
We'll always have people that think differently within the caucus. They represent different parts of the country, and that's really what we're elected to do, is to represent the members of our districts. And so you will sometimes hear something different from time to time, but for the most part, we are united in this. We believe that the President and also more especially Harry Reid needs to come to the table. We need to have conversations so that we can do what we have all along, and that is to fund the government and yet make sure that we protect the American people from this very onerous law that's killing jobs, causing premiums to rise, and giving limited choices for health care for my constituents in my district. We see that a 190% increase in premiums for our 27-year-old males in our state. I could go on and on about the problems with this bill.
And problems that are now increasingly and perhaps even, even better being articulated by the Republican Party. We're seeing every sign that the American people are beginning to see what the issues truly are. And we, it's the price is a government shutdown, but it is a price if it can avoid a disaster or a train wreck, as both some Democrats and some Republicans have said, it'll be worth it. Congresswoman,
and
we
Lou,
thank
I do believe, if I may just end with this, Lou, I believe that as the American people continue to have this affect their lives, we'll continue to see that there will be an unpopularity of this law.
Congresswoman Diane Black, it's always good to talk with you. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.